No matter what space you got, whether it's your bedroom, your own studio, like, listen, all of these elements are really important. Without realizing it, we're all under the quest for the perfect environment, but unless you've got unlimited peas, it's difficult. It's difficult to get there. So there's always going to be a trade-off between three things in my mind: acoustic treatment, sonics, workflow, and inspiration. And they're all fighting against each other all of the time. Because yet again, unless you've got unlimited peas, it's difficult to hit all of them boxes. Regardless of if you're in a bedroom, if you're in a professional recording studio, you're always going to be tugging between those. It's like that triangle of you want something done fast, it's going to cost a lot, or it's going to take time. I feel like it's exactly the same thing here. I want to start by saying though, sonics is key. No matter what anyone tells you, it plays so much into the fact of when you're recording music, if you're mixing, the decisions that you make. Like, a lot of people walk into a studio, look at the panels and like, rah, they randomly put that there. It's there for a reason. Yet again, you don't want sound waves are energy. And when they bounce off surfaces again, you're hearing sound coming from the speakers and then from all of these different places bouncing around off the walls, off different surfaces, and hearing the sound from your speakers. It's gonna make you make certain decisions in your mix very differently. This also affects you as a performer. There's plenty of artists when they're on stage in certain venues, they're singing a bit differently because they're having to react and adapt to what they're hearing around them. So yet again, we have to tackle sonics first. It's one of the most important things when dealing with a studio environment. Regardless if it's your bedroom or a pro recording studio, it's that. When we took over this location in this room, we really had to think of the sonics. And part of that meant new ceiling, new walls, because yet again, we wanted to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward and less of the room is fighting against us. Behind these walls, there's rock wool. There's mass there that helps dissipate the sound waves. So any sound coming in from the other side is being absorbed before that rock wool, before it gets here. Now, that doesn't mean it's completely soundproof, because anyone that tells you their studio is completely soundproof, I'd always be a bit like, because that takes money. When I mean money, I'm talking big money. Essentially, to get somewhere fully soundproof, you're building a room within a room. There's gonna be floating walls and ceilings. There's gonna be loads of mass there. So what we try to do is try to reduce the amount of sound entering our environment, right? That being said, we can only do as much as our budget allows us. If you're in your bedroom, you might not be able to just build up a stud wall there. It depends how invested you are in that space. Same with a commercial property. If you're renting it, you might have to get the landlord's permissions and so forth. So outside of sound proofing, or what I would say is just reducing the amount of sound coming in and out of the space, you have to think of the acoustic treatment. Like in this studio, we have tons of bass panels that we have built all over the place, homemade clouds, other acoustic panels that we have purchased, diffusers. All of this makes a huge difference with the decisions that we make when mixing. And I'll throw some pictures up. When this space was completely empty, it did not sound as good as this. Where I'm standing right now, with these panels above us, it makes such a difference with controlling the audio that you're hearing. Yet again, there's not tons of sound waves bouncing up and down, accentuating certain frequencies. It's all under control. You need to remember, whatever space that you're in, this really makes a difference. Obviously now, if you're in your bedroom, there's so much that you can do. I would suggest getting some panels. And where you would position them panels, first you need to look at where your monitors are set up, because you need to now use the mirror trick. Not a lot of people have a mirror, but you can take your smartphone, find the first reflection point. So that is the first place, if you draw a line or take your mirror from your speaker, first place it hits on the wall, add a panel there. Why are you doing that? Yet again, we're adding a panel that has mass in. I'm not just talking about flimsy panel. The more mass, the better. You want to absorb as much of those frequencies, so when the sound wave bounces off, there's less energy there, which the energy in this case is the volume. So you're attenuating the volume of certain frequencies by having these panels in certain locations. So if you're in somewhere like a bedroom, that's probably your best bet, because you might not be able to go as hard as putting clouds and all of these things up. That's where, in some cases, you may want to go to a recording studio where that environment is more acoustically treated, and you can make better decisions by not worrying about all of these bouncing frequencies. Yet again, I say this all to say it's a constant battle between budget, the size of the room, and what you're dealing with. Because here, we've had to make some decisions. Normally, we wouldn't put our speakers so close to the wall if we was just dealing with just mixing and mastering. Because yet again, we're having sound waves bounce off the wall, which is then gonna affect the decisions that we made. But yet again, we have to cater that we actually record instruments here. As you can see, have synths here. So it becomes a constant tug and war between getting the environment fully acoustically correct and intuitive enough for our workflow that things work. So sometimes you've got to find ways to deal with these trade-offs. Yes, we wanted more space, hence we pushed the desk back to the wall, but that affects some of our sonic decisions. We needed more space to house the synths, the instruments, the people that are going to be in here. It's a trade-off. But the way we dealt with that was, for example, our monitor has some software which has room correction. So what it does, it takes a sonic profile of your room, and then based on that, it dips the frequencies that will be causing problems. So typically being so close to the wall, a lot of those bass frequencies that have so much energy will now be brought down. So now we don't have to worry about, okay, we're cutting too much bass here because all we're hearing is just more bass frequencies being bounced back at us at a higher rate than it actually is. So there's things like this that you can use to try and help combat the situations. There's other technologies like Sonar Works that do a similar thing that you can run that helps you. You don't want to constantly be fighting your room. With rooms, there's always going to be a trade-off. What is the primary use for this room? Is this for mixing? Is it a hybrid situation? Because all of that is going to affect the decisions that you make and how ham you can go with acoustic treatment. According to me, I don't care what anyone says, acoustic treatment is king. You know me, I love gear already. I be buying gear. However, if we didn't take in some of those things into consideration, I would really be fighting with the gear trying to get the best out of it, because I'll constantly be questioning my decisions or feeling inadequate, like this doesn't sound how I thought it would. Just because, yet again, my environment is fighting me, you know? I think in the world of studios, I don't think you can go too far left, which is having the best sounding room and it looks terrible. To be honest, I don't think it's a bad thing, because you've got something that no one else can get, that perfect listening or recording environment, right? But for the rest of us out there, I think that especially if you are actively recording or producing or creating in that environment, you need those things to feel inspired. These little homely comforts that makes it somewhere that feels like I want to go back again, because this feels like where I should be, not just the product. And because of that, I think little touches like artwork like this, it adds a different touch. It adds color to the studio. Like the artist Mark there, he's dope. And it spoke to me, and I thought, this makes the space feel more homely, more creative. Yet again, here we got the vinyl on display of a good friend of ours, Lex Moore, like Forward Ever. Project is dope. Yet again, we want people when they come in to be like, yo, this is the stuff that we like. These are the people that we associate with. This is where it is. We got a board full of people that supported us when we was in our old room, maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago. People that have grown with us. All of this contributes to a studio, that documentation. Everyone that I know that knows about D'Angelo's Voodoo, Electric Lady, we all want to go straight. That album touched me in ways I was like, yo, this album right there, that's it for me. I want to record at that studio. I want to go there. No matter what space you got, whether it's your bedroom, your own studio, like, listen, all of these elements are really important because at the end of the day, we make music or we're contributing to music, and music is to be shared. That's community right there. So highlighting those things in your space, I also think helps you create a better product. Also it also helps you not to get too lost in this thing, because a lot of the time we're tunnel vision in our art trying to make it perfect and realizing there's a whole community of people out there that will interact and will interpret this art however they see fit. So I say just remember that when putting your place together, all of these little touches makes a difference. Sometimes you may make trade-off with certain things acoustically and put in more design elements there, but you have to be careful and remember those little things you do are going to have sonic implications. So you then just have to weigh up how much of an implication that thing actually is. Sometimes I feel like creating music, it's an art form we all understand and respect, but I feel like it's very similar to problem solving. You're just finding creative ways of how you can express yourself. And to some extent, I think it's the same with the room. It's finding the balance between putting things in there that inspires you, making it sound good, and making it functional. All of these three things, they aid and help create a beautiful product. And I think when you're running a commercial studio, or even running tons of sessions in your bedroom, like I used to do, that you always have to keep all of those things in mind. I've recorded in many environments that were questionable, very questionable. Basements, outside, rooms with leaks, and the songs will still hit. So I'm not saying you need to have everything figured out, but I feel like it's all a quest we're personally on. If you're creating music, you may not realize it at first, but you're always looking for that extra 10% to get you further. I'm interested to hear what you guys say, how you guys dealt with certain issues in your room. Do you own a commercial studio yourself? How have you dealt with those challenges? What have you prioritized? Was it the aesthetics? Was it sonics? How did that affect things for you? Like, I'm really intrigued. Like, going from working in my bedroom to various different spaces, there's always been challenges that have come. And I want to have that conversation with more people, right? Some of you may not agree with some of the stuff I'm saying, but hey, I ain't got the answers, man. It's sway, you know what I'm saying? But through my experiences, listen, I can see some correlation. But thanks again. Like, subscribe. It helps with the channel. Thanks for locking in.